I'm John with Wishmeyer Group. I'm with Tom and Chase Bannister with Bannister Construction in a lovely sunroom. This place, I could spend all day here. Let's talk a little bit about just the managing the construction process. Some of those stages and, the prep versus, it's not like you can do this in a month. There's a process and then if you can talk about just, how can a client stay involved? I know some clients I'm sure are really hands-on, some are hands-off, but I think there's probably an importance of you want them involved with regular updates and making sure the product is to their satisfaction.
Yes. Yeah. As you know, there's hundreds of questions throughout the process, but we try to look at a timeline on the project and then give them heads up on what decisions are coming up, and then work together. Email, text, phone conversations, having them stop by the job site. So we want to stay ahead of them on those decisions and how we manage that and what's coming up in the next phases. These projects could take a long time, but again, that's I want the clients involved for sure. Okay.
Is it an easy process if a client wants to change something during the construction process?
It really is. It's, that's what we say. We're custom build, so we want to give them what they want. Okay. So anytime, even at any stage, they can come through and look and ask us for a revision or a change, a modification, an addition, and we're happy to do that. That's what we do. That's custom building.
And I know that was probably a trick question because I know there's stages in a construction process where that probably can't be changed. Especially when you have the footprint.
Sure. We try to do our job in leading our clients and making sure that we don't kind of breeze through a phase in which they might have some questions still or wonder how it's going to affect the project later on. So we try to be upfront and ahead as we can in that.
Okay. I like that. That was actually going to be one of my questions, just how you guys prepare for, changes or how you prep that client for, kind of this process.
Sure. And I think it's a testament to looking back, 40 years of revising those lists of, okay, here's our process, here's how we're looking at leading the client, here's how it's worked out differently over time, and try to tailor that to each client and work with them and lead them well. We kind of see that as being a mainstay of our job.
Okay. So, before you hand over the keys, is there any kind of final steps that you're working with on a client, and just prepping them for move-in, things like that?
Sure. So we have some final meetings with our tradespeople, just so they know how all the operations work, what that maintenance might be. Okay. And then, of course, we're open for questions from us. We will give them lists. We're the first contact to call, and then they'd have all the contacts for all the other trades and sub-members that are involved.
Along with that, John, kind of looking at the different scenarios. We get different times of year, different deadlines. Oftentimes, people are selling the home they live in to move into the home we're building. So kind of being proactive in looking at those dates and lead times and making sure that we have our ducks in a row so that it's not a rough transition. We want them to feel like they transition into their new home well. And sometimes that can be, surrounding holidays, again, surrounding the sale of their home or a move that they need to make at a certain time. So we try to align best we can with their life and what's going on.
And I'm sure once somebody moves into a home, you're not just leaving them alone.
So again, it's kind of the standardized punch list. If they see something or we see something, we want to note that down and then get a timeline to get those items completed. And then also too, we're going to come back. We've got a full 1-year warranty, and then after that, we're going to come back as well. And then all the manufacturer's warranties are transferred to them, and that could be 2 to 5 years to 25 years, depending on what those products are. So making sure all those warranties are in place.
And I like you mentioned punch lists, because one of my jobs as a real estate agent, I want to be there also with the client and helping them go through that punch list, because there's always those little things that may need some finished touches, that you can walk through a house 10 times and maybe not see it, and then all of a sudden you see it. So
again, some things that come into play there you don't know till you live in it type of things. And so even on down the road, changes, whether they be big or small, we want to be able to be there for our clients, lead them well on how to get those things accomplished so they're truly thrilled with every part of their home. That's what we look for.
Okay. I'm going to segue a little bit from new construction because you guys also do renovations. So, and I think that might come into play, if the client, maybe they love where they live, maybe they love their neighborhood and, and they hate leaving it. So how do you guys work that process with if somebody, maybe has a vision that they're needing more space or they're wanting that updated kitchen, things like that? So.
Again, it just kind of starts out with those initial meetings and wants, and then making sure that aligns with their budgets and their time frames. They can be a little more interesting if the client's living there as we work. Okay. But again, there's precautions for dust control and stop-start times and those type things. But again, just kind of working for the client as their needs are there.
I think another thing to touch on there that Tom does well, we'll take on and meet with clients, again, like I said, where they are. And even if that meeting process comes down to figuring out that maybe we're not the person for the project, leading them, referring them well, and trying to get them in touch and go in the direction they want to go. Seen Tom do that time and time again, and I think that's just a testament to the way that he leads people into getting where they want to go, more than just whether we are awarded a contract to build a home or a renovation, what may be. And again, I think you're a great asset and resource for it, telling them what those values are and how they are investing in a great neighborhood or something that, homes don't turn in the market. So they might be better off to stay right there.
Yes. Yeah. And I've done that a lot over the years that, yes, I love helping people sell their homes and buy or do new construction. But, it went on the renovation piece, a real estate agent can definitely come into play, recommending you guys, and then also kind of helping them look at reviews, talk to others, maybe see another finished product, things like that. But then also it's looking at that value, that, if you live in a neighborhood and maybe your house now unrenovated is worth $350, $400, but the ceiling in the neighborhood is maybe $500, and they're wanting to do a $300,000 renovation, my advice is you have to want to stay there a long time, or understand that you may not, if you ever sell, there's that money equation. Is there any things that you guys recommend on choosing a contractor? I think reviews, a lot of times that word of mouth, that's and a real estate agent, that's probably some of the best options, right?
Sure. Okay. You've touched on about all the high points right there.
Yeah. And I think meeting with them and getting to know them a little bit, kind of seeing if you gel with them and see if you can work with them. We kind of have that go on in our world as well, in our niche, with seeing if clients are gelling with us and seeing if we gel with them, seeing if it's a right fit. And if it's not, maybe, another direction is best. Okay. But oftentimes we're going to be working with them for a year or more. Yeah. And so we want to make sure that the relationship is going to be a good one, and that we fit them well and they fit us well. Okay.
I like that relationship piece, and does the chemistry work? I do that same thing on listing a home. In that first interview, it's so easy for a seller to look up reviews, things like that. But in the interview, they're interviewing me, am I a good fit to sell their home? But I'm sort of interviewing the client as well, just like you guys are, because sometimes it's not a good fit. And you have to know when to suggest to the client that, hey, here's maybe another option. Just to recap, this has been I think a fantastic conversation. Anybody that's thinking about new construction, renovation, Bannister Construction needs to be a call that you make, to interview. Is there anything that you guys want to end with on, just choosing that right team? I know it comes down to the realtor, we need a good lender, because not everybody has cash, and then just the team that surrounds you guys.
Sure, and I think you're right. And John, you've been around forever as well, so you know what's going on. You've got your, the pulse of the market. So you're a great fit for people, and then lead them a direction from there. If we get an opportunity to work with them, great. If they go someplace else, we understand that. It's all a working business, so whatever's best for the client in the long run.
Okay. Well, if there's any real estate needs or questions that you have, reach out. You can find me easily at inhomestoday.com. It's a great website, and then these guys, just awesome builders. You can reach them at bannisterconstruction.com. Their email is info@bannisterconstruction.com, and the phone number 812-378-9100. All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you.